so much for coming out tonight. My name is Nicole. I'm on the events team here at Books for Magic. We're so excited to have Elissa Sussman and Lizz Schumer here with us tonight to celebrate the launch of Totally and Completely Fine. But before we get started, I just want to point out some logistics for how tonight's event is going to go. If you need to use the restroom, it's right by that moleskin spinner. At the end, we'll be doing a hand-raised audience Q&A, so make sure you have some questions to ask. And after the talk tonight, Elissa will be signing and personalizing books. At the table, like right next to where you checked in, we'll tell you where to go when that happens. If you're joining us virtually on the YouTube live stream, we'd love to encourage you to buy a copy of Totally and Completely Fine online using the link in the live stream description. From the best-selling author of Funny You Should Ask comes an inspiring romance novel about honoring the past, living in the present, and loving for the future. In her small Montana hometown, Lauren Parker has assumed a few different roles: teenage hellraiser, sister of superstar Gabe Parker, and most recently, tragically widowed single mother. She's never cared much about labels or what people thought about her, but dealing with her grief over the loss of her husband Spencer has slowly revealed that she's become adrift in her own life. Then she meets the devilishly handsome actor Ben Walsh. That was so hard.
You did great.
On the set of her brother's new movie, and they have instant chemistry. Alternating between Lauren's past with Spencer and her present with Ben, Totally and Completely Fine illuminates what it means to find life-changing love and be true to oneself in the process. Elissa Sussman is the best-selling author of Once More with Feelings, Funny You Should Ask, and 3 young adult novels, which we all have available for purchase at the front. She lives in Los Angeles with her husband and their many pets. As I mentioned earlier, Lizz Schumer joins Elissa in our conversation tonight. Lizz is the senior book editor at People Magazine, overseeing all things books on all platforms. She previously led book coverage at Good Housekeeping Magazine, where she founded the Good Housekeeping Book Club, and has also written for Women's Day Prevention and New York Times, and many other publications. Find Lizz online at LizzSchumer.com or on Instagram at LizzSchumer. So without further delay, please join me in welcoming Lizz and Elissa.
So excited to be here and talk about this book. Yay. I wore my cowboy boots. I listened to Cowboy Carter on the way here.
We love it. We love it.
We love a theme.
Of course.
So happy Pub Day, first of all.
Yeah.
That is worthy of some applause. How does it feel?
It feels crazy. I was telling you backstage, it just like feels like this book has been out for like 2 years. So it's very exciting that other people will get to read it now.
Yeah. And as someone who has read the book, let me say, it's great. You're going to love it. We will avoid spoilers. We will not avoid teasers. So let us start off with a teaser. Yeah. Read to us.
Okay. So I'm going to read a little bit of the book. This is from where Lauren and Ben are about to go on their little date meeting thing, romantic interlude. And he has just picked her up and they're in the car. And I'm sorry, he has an Irish accent. Usually I can't do an Irish accent. I would probably ruin him for you if I tried. So
we'll imagine the accent.
Yeah, and listen to the audiobook because Patty Murn is amazing. There's plenty of sightseeing, Ben said. Lots of great museums, galleries, and historical monuments. Whatever you'd like to do. I thought about making an excuse, about telling him that unfortunately I couldn't spend the day with him, that I had a headache, or cramps, or a bum knee that was acting out. I thought about all the reasons this was a bad idea. I thought about Spencer. I thought about myself. I think we should have sex, I said. Ben didn't move. He didn't even blink. For a moment, I thought he might not have heard me. I kept talking. I mean, I figured that you would be interested because yesterday it seemed that way, and I'm attracted to you because you're gorgeous and you like food. Also, I was tested a few months ago and it all came back negative, and I haven't been with anyone else since, but this doesn't have to be some big deal because I live in Montana and you live somewhere else, and this is just a vacation and a one-time thing. I just thought we should have sex. I trailed off weakly, knowing that I probably sounded like an absolute lunatic. I put my head in my hands. I'll see myself out. Lauren, Ben said. I looked at him. I would very much like to have sex with you, he said. This time I was the one who didn't blink. I'm very attracted to you, he said. And I was tested last month and it's all negative as well. Oh, I said, that's great. I sounded like I was congratulating him on getting straight A's. So where do you want it? Ben asked. Front seat or back? I stared. Then I saw the smile he was struggling to hide. Sorry, he said. Couldn't help myself. I let out a breath. Teasing was good. Or we could go to my place, he said. It has a bed. I glanced toward the rear of the car. I don't know, I said. Looks pretty cozy back there. Ben unbuckled his seatbelt. Whatever the lady wants, he said with a dramatic sigh. I laughed and put my hand on his arm. A bed sounds nice. He looked at where I was touching him. Bare hand to bare arm, skin to skin. I'd done it without thought, but now I could feel the own heat from his skin and the goosebumps rising on my own. Ben's eyes met mine. Those fucking eyes. The lust I saw in there made me feel like I could lift a car over my head. I didn't think. I just kissed him. Who knows what happens next?
All right. Well, I think I speak for all of us when I say cancel the conversation. We're all going home reading it right now. That is a hard act to follow, but we will try. So one of the many things I love about this book is it's sexy as hell, obviously. I mean, we got that so far. But there's also this really beautiful second chance at love moment because, you know, the main character lost her husband. So there's this great interplay between grief and love and lust. Talk a little bit about how those emotions work together. Why did you go that direction?
I mean, I think it was I wanted to sort of address something I see in romance a lot, where it's this idea of like one true love, where it's like you get one. That's it. You get one person, and then if something happens, well, I'm just sorry. Like that's it. You're finished.
Too bad.
And I, having experienced grief in my family and in life, know that that's not true. That there is like wonderful love that can come after loss and grief. And I also sort of wanted to write a book about a long-term relationship, which is a really hard thing to do in a romance.
Yeah.
So it was like, how can I have my cake and eat it too? So it was like, oh, two stories in one. And so that's kind of how it came about.
2 stories, and it's more than 2 stories in one. There's a lot of stories in here, everybody. One of the stories that I love is the mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
Talk about that angle a little bit. I mean, it's so beautiful.
Thank you. Lauren has a 13-year-old daughter, Lena, and she is like, I don't know if you've ever met 13-year-old girls. They're fucking terrifying. And I love that. I love how scary they are and how just like in their power they are. And so you have this 13-year-old girl who has lost her dad, has like gone through all of this like shit in a short period of time, and is like losing her mind.
Yeah.
But also like she's 13, so she's not going to talk about it with anyone. She's
God,
fine.
no.
She's got no feelings. She's certainly not going to talk about it with her mom. And it was just such an interesting dynamic because both of them are kind of avoiding what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, but you can't avoid that for too long before it just comes crashing down on you.
As we're talking about this, I'm thinking of myself at 13. A lot of bad poetry. A lot of really, really bad poetry.
I mean, hopefully everyone wrote bad poetry at 13.
Oh yeah, I mean, if any, it's a good thing that my hard drive crashed when I was like 15, and all of the bad poetry is now lost to wherever files go to die because no one can publish them posthumously and embarrass me. So
someone will find them, don't you worry.
Oh, great, thank you. Well, if there are any tech geniuses here, see me after the show for help with that. But you know, one of the things that I love about this precious little 13-year-old is she's having a, you know, personal awakening of sorts. And anyone here who was a little gay teenager will really resonate with that moment. So talk about that. Why was that so important to include? And why is that so important today in 2025 specifically?
I mean, I don't think it's especially pertinent now. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, it's interesting because there's a lot of queer characters in the cast. Like Ben is bisexual, and we get to see Ollie again, who is in Funny Should Ask, who is, you know, gay as the day is long. And I just really liked this idea of, look, they live in a small town. And I didn't want to romanticize small town life. I wanted to really sort of talk about like, hey, if you are a queer person or a person of color or, you know, anyone who doesn't fit the norm like Lauren does when she's a teenager, it can be really hard and really scary. And so I wanted to sort of to be respectful of kids who are growing up in that situation, but also wanting it to be like, okay, I don't want it to be doom and gloom. Like, there are your queer elders out there that you can seek out and you can find, and it's so much easier now at this time with like the internet and all of that stuff, and there's just more ways to connect with other people. And I think it's, for me, it's just like, that's just life. It's just my life is full of queer people, and to write a book without them in it just would seem like fiction to me. That would seem like ridiculous, boring fiction.
Yes, thank you. And nobody would want to read that.
No.
Ew.
Gross.
Gross. A book without queer people, we could never, would never, will never. So that, this idea of romanticizing a small town, which we've all read those books.
And they're great. There are some wonderful ones out there.
There are some lovely romanticized small towns.
Yes.
This one is not that. This is a very real feeling small town.
Yes.
So that brings me to the obvious question, maybe. Is it a real small town? Talk about the research process a little bit.
Yeah.
How did this lovely little town come to be?
So I always joke when people ask me about Gabe Parker and like who I based him off of. And I was like, well, everyone's like, it's Chris Evans. And I'm like, well, I don't know. But
Couldn't possibly.
Chris Evans is not 6'4" from Montana. That's my husband. So, and my husband is from a very small town in Montana where I have spent many a only Jew Christmas. And it is one of those things where it's, there are some things that are really, really great about it. And then there are things that, you are there for a week and you're like, well, I've seen everything and there are no more restaurants to go to. And the movie theater, I've seen all of the movies that they're playing there. And so it's one of those things where it's like, for the right person, a small town is so safe and comforting and wonderful, but it's also not for everybody. And I also just wanted to, I think sometimes we forget when we talk about small towns, we don't often point a finger at like how homogenized they are and how that's sort of how they create this idea of this perfect, Stars Hollow-esque place. And it's like, we love Stars Hollow, but like, it's a lot of white people. And Montana is a very white state in general. And it was a place that like he's from Helena, Montana, so it's slightly based off of Helena. Like Birds and Beasley, which is a store that's mentioned in the book, that is a real place. It's for birders. If you ever go to Helena, Montana, please go there. It is a lovely store. But I've also seen like my nieces and nephews grow up in there and how limiting it can be. So I really wanted to contrast like Lauren growing up there and then Lena growing up there. And yeah.
And I think, the point you made earlier about now we have the internet is very helpful with that. Opens the world a little bit. And I have to say, the birding store, there was also a birding store in my small hometown growing up. Someone needs to look into this, what it is about small towns and birding stores. I mean,
there's only birding to do. That's the thing. They've all seen the movies. And now they gotta go birds.
Yeah.
Gotta go with birds.
Ooh, I don't know. As a Bills fan, I'm not sure I can let the Go Birds stand, but
I'm assuming that's a sports thing. And
I was gonna say thank you. I got like 3 chuckles. This is when I make sports jokes in bookstores. It kills every time.
Every time.
I'm not
this
gonna
is the
stop
audience. This is our sports audience right here.
Clearly. All right. Sometimes you send a little test balloon up and it comes right back down to earth. So, you mentioned Ollie a few minutes ago.
Yes.
We love Ollie. And I am always curious, when characters come back from previous books, how is that hard to weave them in? I mean, he comes in so naturally and makes a splash, as Ollie always does.
Of course.
So tell us why Ollie is here in this book, and are there characters in this one who may show up in future books? That was a 2-part question, so you can answer one part and then I can get the next one next.
I mean, Ollie is like, from the minute he shows up in Funny, he's just like, he just steals the show in a lot of ways. And I remember like, I loved him from the beginning, and then readers were really connecting with him. And so when I knew the book was going to overlap, I was like, well, I gotta get, he's an agent of chaos in a lot of ways. and has like very few boundaries and is just like the world like he's Puck kind of. It's like the world is my oyster to like cause chaos as much as possible. And he loves love and he loves other people falling in love and also making fools of themselves while they're in love. So he's just, you know, he is so much fun to write because he's also like, he's someone who's a fish out of water, but he doesn't really understand the concept where he's just like, I belong everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and I love a character like that.
Yeah, he's like a frog. He's out of water, but he's
But he's
hopping around anyway.
He's chill.
He's doing great.
He's great.
He's having a grand old time. And, you know, there's a lot of, like, grand old times in this book. There's so much fun, which makes it so fun to read. One of the parts, again, no spoilers, but there's a motorcycle in this book.
Yeah.
And I'm a girl who loves motorcycle. Are you a girl who loves a motorcycle?
I mean, the practical side of me is like they're death machines.
Well, yeah,
they're death machines,
that's
guys.
part of the fun.
But I mean, if Ben showed up with his Irish accent as motorcycle, I'd be like, it's okay. It's okay, death trap or not, let's go.
I mean, we've all got to go somehow.
What a way to go. What a way to go. So yeah, and I think it's like it's fun to play with those archetypes of like, you know, he is this like tough guy, but he is queer as well. And it's like, you know, when we think about, there aren't a lot of bisexual men in fiction and romance in particular. And so I really wanted to be like, he was such a fun character to play with because I was just like, I want him to be like everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, he's just like not what you expect, but then also like he delivers what you want. So
he delivers what you want, which brings me to my next question.
Yes.
The sex scenes,
which there are none of.
There are none. There are no sex scenes. We are not. We're talking about nothing. Please do tell us when you're writing your sex scenes. Do you pull from life? Do you pull from fantasy? Do you pull from a little bit of both? Let's get into it.
My husband's not here, so I can't mention anything about it. He'll be so embarrassed. So I can't say anything. But
he's not here.
He's watching. I'm sure he's watching. The funny thing with this one is that this was a very fun book to write, but it was also very heavy at certain times. Mm-hmm. And so the sex scene is actually one of the last things I wrote, and I had to get like super high to write it because I was just like, all right, we need to just like let go of whatever, like we need a little bit of like absurdity in this. We need to like, so it was like late at night. I'm like, hi, I'm at my computer and I'm just like, all right, just kind of just like that. And then in the morning, see what happens. And it worked out fine.
It worked out great. I think I speak for myself and all of your future selves when I say that it's worked out great.
Thank you so much.
And I also kind of love that like typing with your eyes closed because there's also a lot of shame in this book.
Yes.
Let's talk about the heavy stuff.
Let's talk about shame.
Let's take a hard right from sex to shame.
They are on the same street.
That will feel very natural to a lot of us, I'm sure. So, you know, I really saw a lot of truth in the slut shaming element of the book.
Right.
So especially some of the more throwback slut shaming. So talk about that a little bit. Where does that come from other than our entire society?
I mean, I don't know where it comes from. Like, could it be the patriarchy? Maybe. I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so.
No, probably not. It's probably a woman's fault.
Absolutely. Everything is.
Everything is. And if not, she's lying about it. I mean, it was there. I think any time women are talking about sex, it is a feminist act. And it is so scary to people who need to live in this binary of like men are this way and women are this way and this is how men have sex and this is how women have sex. It's so threatening to have women talking about what they like and what they want. And I really wanted to have like Lauren is like I wanted her to sort of be like a proud slut, like, and how complicated that is for someone in her situation. And how like she almost doesn't even realize the double standard until it's like happening. Cause she's like, hey, the guys I'm sleeping with are sleeping with other girls and they're also sleeping with me and no one's yelling at them. So like, what's the deal? And I think it's, you know, any time I can like have a chance to sort of skewer our ideas of like, you know, what kind of women do certain things and what kind of, you know, I loved this idea of like Lauren is like now she's seen as this poor, tragic, sad widow. And it's like, well, don't forget, I was also a teenage slut. Like, you know, so it's like, how do those things like exist in the same person? It's like, of course they do. Of course, this is someone who has lived in the same town her whole life. Everyone has seen her grow up. Everyone knows her business. And like, sex is such a, like, we have such a hard time talking about it. We are, and I think talking about it in a way that isn't like, I'm trying to find the right word for it, but like, it's not like a way that's like fun for the people engaging in it. Like that like, it's sort of like trying to bring back this idea of like when we were teenagers and talking about sex, and like you probably didn't even know what you were talking about at that point, and you're just like, oh my God, I heard this, and then I heard that, and just like how much fun it was to have those conversations and to talk with your girlfriends and maybe some of your guy friends and just feel like the world is your oyster as far as sex, and like how this is an adventure, and I'm like so excited to try it. And I think romance is a chance to have those conversations again, because there are sadly a lot of women out there who the expectation is that sex is painful, that it is super difficult to get a woman to orgasm, that like vaginal orgasms are the only way to go, that you don't leave, like all of these things that anyone who has had sex is like, wait a minute, is there something wrong with me if I need lube? Or, you know, I had sex for the first time and I didn't feel something break and I didn't bleed. And it's like, guys, first of all, the hymen is not a real, I could go on this
we could
forever.
have a whole other conversation.
But like, if it hurts at any point, something is wrong. And I hate that we train women to think like, well, the first time is going to hurt.
Yeah.
It should
not.
How
scary is that?
Yeah.
That we're telling young girls and young boys and young binary folks, hey, this is going to be a painful, awful experience and something's going to break. What?
Yeah. And you're going to bleed.
And you're going to bleed. It's going to ruin your sheets.
It's going to ruin your sheets.
Your parents are going to know.
And everyone's going to look
know.
at you and they're going to know. They can't know. No
Never
one
mind
knows.
the scarlet letter that appears on your forehead.
Right, exactly. You know, and then like an email goes out to everyone. And you're just
now
like,
I think it's a text.
Sex. Oh, it's a text now.
Or a TikTok. I don't know.
And so I really wanted to, I mean, my whole thing with romance is I think that, like, I grew up on it. I think people learn from the media. We learn about sex from the media. And so I really want to be very clear in my romances where it's like, lube is your best friend, guys. It's your best friend. Like, let's teach young women having sex for the first time that lube is great. Like, let's teach them they should not be expecting it to hurt. And that this idea that like our bodies, women's bodies, are like some inoperable machinery that you like need a fucking license for. It's like the clitoris is right there.
It's really not that hard.
It's right.
It's really not that hard.
Yeah. It's right there. And it's like, if we normalize like sex being easy for men because we normalize masturbation for them.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think we should, you know, and I hope that people who are reading romance novels are using it to masturbate, as I'm sure, well, I did. I mean, I'm not like, that's just what happened. And it's like, I want women to know that like their pleasure, or people in female bodies, I want their pleasure is not impossible. It's attainable. It's expected. Yeah. And if it's not happening, don't sleep with that person again.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Like, seriously, it's not that hard.
If there's one takeaway from this evening, that should be it. Like, let's spread the gospel of that. Yes. Good Lord. And, you know, I think it's so interesting getting back to this slut-shaming concept, that part where, well, there's a number of parts where Lauren is reflecting on her own coming up and her own sexual exploits. And I, as a reader, am going, good for you, girl. You get yours. You have fun. And everyone in the small town is taking the opposite approach. And that leads me to the grandmothers.
Oh my
there
God.
are two very different grandmothers
Two
in
different
this
grandmothers,
book.
yes.
And as someone who has two very different grandmothers, one of them has passed, God rest her soul. The one who has survived is the more conservative of the two.
Oh yeah, the spite keeps them alive.
You know what? I think it is. I think spite is a powerful weapon. I plan on using it to live to 205.
Yeah.
If the planet lasts that long, which is a real So
I mean, so.
talk about these two grandmothers. I love them so much, even as I love to hate one of them.
Yes. So we have Lauren's mother and Gabe's mother, who is an English teacher and very sweet and very supportive. And then we have, so Spencer is Lauren's husband who has passed, and he comes from a very conservative background. And his mother is very conservative and very involved in his life and what she thinks is right for him and who she thinks is right for him. And of course, Lauren is not that. So they really, they have a lot of disagreements, but there is this sort of battle within Lauren because she has Lena, and Lena is kind of the last living part of Spencer.
Yeah.
And so it's like this woman is a bitch. Like
such a
she's
bitch.
the fucking worst.
She sucks.
But like she misses her son. She's grieving. There's a lot of, it's like you can be a bitch and be sad at the same time.
Bitches can be sad.
Bitches can be sad.
That is the other takeaway.
Bitches, bigots, they can all be sad.
Right.
But
Doesn't make it okay.
doesn't make it okay. But I wanted to sort of like, Lauren is, she's trying to be a good daughter-in-law. She's trying not to let her own personal feelings about her mother-in-law get in the way of her daughter having a relationship. But it is that thing of like, okay, but like at what level do you need to start protecting your kid from those influences? And at what point do you say, no, shut up, like we're done? And it's for her, it's like finding that. And it's also, for her, it's like, it's still a part of Spencer that's still around, part of her growing up and living in this town. So, there's a reluctance to let go of those things.
Yeah. And that's so hard, right? Especially, and I'm sure, a lot of us have similar or exactly the same family situations where there's someone in your family or in your chosen family even who you want to keep them close, but you don't want to necessarily talk to them.
Yes.
And I think that's another part of this book where I want to give it to a young person and go, it's okay.
Yeah.
If you have this situation,
yeah,
it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's also like, found family is such a wonderful theme within romance.
Yeah.
But I think, I've also seen this idea of pushing like, you have to forgive your elders or you have to accept them for who they are and you have to, pay them respect or whatever. And it's like, you fucking don't.
You don't.
You really don't. Like, it's like, you give them a chance, give everyone a chance. But like, there's a certain point where you're like, okay, I get, like, those chances are up. And we are like, I have cut people off from my family and it is the best thing I've ever done. Because
it's just so good.
It's like, just because we are connected by blood, that means fuck all. It means nothing. Unless you make it something. And so
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that you making it something is it, right? Because we have agency. I think that's the other thing that the characters in this book do so well is they take control of, well, not always right away, but they take control of what's going on in a really beautiful way. And I think that idea that women can have sex and should have sex if they want to.
Mhm.
And you can explore your sexuality and you can ride a motorcycle and have an Irish accent and be bisexual and sensitive and lovely and
Yeah.
wonderful. And God, I love that character so much. I'm just gonna keep gushing. I'm just gonna keep gushing. So, all right. So Gabe is not Chris Evans. We've established that.
Right. He's not Chris Evans.
Is Ben anybody? Do we have dream casting for Ben?
That's
Or,
interesting.
when we're picturing our characters, when we're having a little private time with this book, who
I
should we be
mean,
picturing?
I mean, it's interesting because I don't really just physically describe my characters a
No,
lot
you don't.
because I want everyone to use their imagination. I really want, like, sexy is so specific to each person. And I've read romances where I'm like reading it and they're going into Sweet Valley High. They were both a size 6 blonde, description. And they like get to something and I'm like, oh no, I don't find that attractive. And it like immediately shuts you down.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, there's no chance to shut down. No chance.
No.
It's really like, the thing I most stress about him is that Lauren finds him sexy and he
Yeah.
finds her sexy. And that's kind of like what I want. I want you to just be like, okay, well, whatever, what am I picturing in my mind right now? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be the same thing tomorrow either.
And that in and of itself, two people finding each other sexy is sexy.
Yes.
So, hey, it works. All right. We have to get to Q&A, but I cannot not ask you this last question. Some really exciting news dropped today.
Yes.
Do share with the class.
So if you haven't been online, there was an announcement that we're hoping that Funny is going to be made into a TV show. Woo-hoo! It's very exciting. And I don't know if anyone saw Bridgerton. Did anyone see Bridgerton?
I've heard of it.
Season 1?
Yeah, heard of it.
Regé-Jean Page is attached to play Gabe. So it's very exciting, and he's a big fan of the book. He can do an American accent. We're very excited about that. And yeah, so we're just, so just text at Apple or whatever and just be like, hey, I really want this. Hey, like, green light this, please.
Everybody posts about it online.
Exactly.
Incessantly. It's starting right. I'm gonna pay attention right now, but like when we're done,
Yeah.
post online.
Yes.
That was less of a question and more of a
demand.
news break.
Just
More of a demand. Yes, I am a dictator.
Yes.
That's the point. Okay, so now that I have gabbed, it is time for some of you to ask some questions. Anybody have one?
I know some people in the audience and they have questions. I mean,
Oh, there we go. Hi.
Hi. I'm wondering, so these two books, this one and the first one, are kind of set in the world of Hollywood. And the middle one is the world of pop music and Broadway. So is fame something that just appealed to you? Do you have experience or some kind of connection to it? Or showbiz is just what you kind of felt like writing about?
Ooh, so the question, for those who couldn't hear it, is fame something that you have a connection to, or just something that you find interesting to write about?
It's a great question because fame is definitely a theme in my work, and I do admit to having a fascination with it, and a fascination with the way we both want fame, and then I think people who have it are like, dude, you like, this is actually, you don't even know what you're getting into. And I think anyone who has like a forward-facing career experiences some elements of like what it's like to be recognized or known. And I think as a society, we haven't really quite figured out how to do that without dehumanizing the celebrity and the person that is famous. And so I am always interested in like, okay, well, what's happening behind the scenes? And how does that differ from what we're seeing? Because to me, that's the interesting story. Like that's the division, and like, how much is it a performance, and why is it a performance? Like, why do there are people, I'm sure there are actors and performers out there who really feel like they have to put on a specific persona when they're out in public, and when they're alone or with their family or with people who know them, they're a different person because that is the way they protect themselves. And then there are people who like thrive on it and who really like, they love that attention. And I don't want to put any shame on anyone who does like, Kathleen in Once More Feeling, she loves the spotlight. And I really wanted to like have a character that's like, I am not ashamed that I want attention. And I think, and it's also been fun for Funny and for Totally Completely Fine, is having the men be the celebrities and what that's like when you become known for being beautiful, essentially. And people get weird. People get really, really weird about it. Like, I've had friends who have experienced some sort of fame, and it's like, they're like, you'll be talking to someone you don't know, and they will just start touching you. And it's like, I don't even think they know they're doing it, but it's like this, so I think as a society, we have not figured out how to deal with fame and how to talk about it with each other. And so it's hopefully part of that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we have books for.
That is what we have
teach
books
us
for.
all of the things.
Great question.
Great question. Other questions? Yeah.
Did you know in Funny You Should Ask that you were going to write Lauren's book? Like, did you know that Totally and Completely Fine would be her book and her story?
Ooh, the question is, did you know that Totally and Completely Fine would be Lauren's story?
When I wrote, when she showed up on the page in Funny, I was definitely like, oh, okay, I'm building an off-ramp for this character. So like there is opportunity. I was so excited that people were really like loved Funny and were really excited to see her again. And yeah, I really always wanted to explore like, I don't think when she showed up on the page, I had this book in mind specifically, but I was like, you know, she is such an interesting character to me, and I really just love her so much. And then I also love the idea of like, I really wanted to see Gabe and Khani again, and like see them from a totally different, like we see Gabe kind of his whole childhood, and it's really fun to write. Brother and sister dynamics are really fun, and I really, you know, sort of going back to the fame question, it's like who he was, a awkward, weird kid, you know, and how did that affect him? Like, where did his alcoholism come from? How did that, you know, like we just know him as this famous celebrity, everything's going great, everything's wonderful, and it's like, well, yeah, he has a whole life before that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's one of the great things about books that have these interlinking characters is you can learn more about these people that you love in each subsequent book.
Yeah.
Which is so fun.
Yeah.
It's like seeing friends again.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
That was kind of an interjection from me. Back to you all.
I like that.
Who else has a question? Look, I'm also a teacher. I can sit here all night and stare at you.
Come on, Eric.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about a part in the book that you're really proud of or excited for us to read, either because you worked on it really hard and like got it right, or it popped out fully formed and like you're amazed at how good it is.
I mean, the whole book. No, I'm just kidding. This book was a bitch to write. I mean, I think there are some moments between. There's one, and it's kind of a spoiler, so I won't give up too much. One of the earliest scenes I wrote is a moment between Lena and Gabe, where sort of things come to a head, and having a 13-year-old just like go at an adult is like so much fun to write, and also just like terrifying and amazing. And I was like, I think that was one of the first scenes that I wrote, and it's pretty much as it is in the book. And yeah, it's I love that scene.
It's such a good scene. And the entire time I'm like, yeah,
yeah, you tell him.
because she's right.
Yeah, she's not wrong.
She's so right.
She's not wrong. But yeah.
You'll see. I love doing that, by the way, during these talks where like we just have a conversation about something none of you know anything about yet.
But you will.
No spoilers, but teasers.
Yes.
So good. Anyone else have a question?
Yeah.
Have another one.
So this is an easier one. The covers of the first two books are very thematic. This has a totally and completely different cover. Was that a conscious decision? Were you looking to make a different cover, or you just wanted to go in a different direction?
So for anyone who didn't hear the question is about the covers. So the first two, pretty thematic. This one, as the title would suggest, very different.
Very different.
Intentional?
So actually there was a different cover that was more in line with the first two books, but they're all done by the same artist. And her name is, it's Cassie, I don't know, what is her last name? Gonzalez, Cassie Gonzalez, and then also Cassie Turpin, who did the art. So yeah, Cassie Gonzalez did the art direction, and then Cassie Turpin did the art for it. And I remember when they were like, actually, we've decided we're going to do a different cover, because I don't have a lot of control over it. I can just say, great, or, you know, but luckily it's always been like, oh my God, these are amazing.
Yeah.
And I remember when they showed us this, I was like, I mean, I loved the other cover, but I was like, oh, this is really, it feels really special. And I just love it. I think it does sort of like, this is a, you know, these books are all sort of connected, but like this one is, you know, it feels a little different. And yeah, so it's nice to have the cover reflect that.
Yeah. And how, you know, this is a follow-up question to your question. How does it feel when you first see the cover art? I mean, I know there are concepts, there's a whole lot of discussion, but talk about that for a second. What's that feeling for you?
I mean, having published other books, I have been in the situation where I'm like, oh no. And luckily that's never been like, the Dell team is so amazing. And I remember seeing the cover for Funny and just being like, it's so different. And it stands out so much. And it just made me and the book feel like I was like, oh, you guys understand what I'm doing here. Like, you understand that, you know, this is a dual timeline book and it's a little weird, you know, structurally and stuff. So the cover really shows that. And they just like, I don't know, like seeing that come into your inbox, you're just like, okay, I need to lay down on my fainting couch for a bit. Like, this is so good.
So good. So good. Way to go, Dell team.
Yeah.
Let's hear it for the Dell team.
They're in the back. They're here.
Good job. Other questions? Yes, right in front.
If you do listen to music while you write, was there any music that you like had on repeat while writing this book?
Ooh, the question was, if you listen to music while you write, did you have anything on repeat while writing the book?
So I don't usually listen to music, but I do usually have like a song that like I do a lot of my best thinking in the car while I'm just driving, and I have like I will play the same song over and over and over again. And Your Love by Outfield, which is one of the quotes in the beginning of the book, was one that I kept listening to over and over and over again. And then Kelly Clarkson did a cover of it, and I was like, because it's so good. It's so good. And so highly recommend you go and watch that on YouTube. But yeah, that was a song that just sort of, in a lot of ways, it was that. And then it was also Raising Hell by Kesha. And I was like, this is, I mean, that's, to me, that's like Lauren. That is Lauren just being like fuck your religion, like all of your ideas about what a woman should be, and femininity and all of that. It's such a great song. It's really fun. So
yeah. So another follow-up question to your question. So are you the kind of person who will write the lyrics into the book if you're listening to music with lyrics while you're writing, or can you tune it out? Are you a white noise person?
I am a white noise person. Like, I sit in total silence. So I'm sure it's very weird for anyone walking in on me where I'm just like
serial killer vibes.
Yeah, serial killer vibes. Yeah, I mean, like, sometimes my husband will come in and our cat will be like just sitting there, and I will not have realized that she's just been there sitting there for God knows how long, because she's a creep. And like, you know, so it's like, and of course those are the great rare moments in writing where you like lose. It's so rare. It's so rare. So most of the time you're just like
hunt and pecking,
words,
hating everything,
exactly,
you know, wishing you spoke a different language so you can maybe try it that way. Yep.
Wishing I was good at math because I could do something else, but unfortunately no.
Alas, here we are.
I know.
Yeah, sorry everyone.
Sorry.
Well, this has been lovely, and now it is time to sign some books.
Yay!
So thank you for a great conversation.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you to everybody who asked questions, and thank you to Liz for moderating, and thanks to Elissa for celebrating this launch with us. So a few final reminders. If you're still with us on the live stream, you can purchase a copy of the book by clicking the link in the live stream description. For everybody in person, we do have a few copies up at the front still for purchase. Elissa will be signing and personalizing books where my coworkers are pointing. And before you get up and do that, just make sure you take all your stuff, because we're going to be breaking down this area pretty quickly. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for coming. Have a good night.
Thank you.
I will direct you. You could just leave it on the.
Okay, I'm gonna give you this too.
Still live, so check.